best cortado this side of the X game.
Hey.
Cool. Ladies and gents, welcome to the official preview show for Winner Takes All 5. It's the first one back for 2023. I know it feels like it's been a long time, probably because it has been a long time, I guess. But we're back, we're ready to go. This will be fight week by the time you're seeing this. As always, joined by the lovely Steph and the not so lovely guy Lazarus, depends who you ask. A lot of things to talk about. We've obviously got a stacked 14 fight card coming for you on the 3rd of March. New venue, new team, it's going to be interesting. We've also got the ladies all-star quintet. It's the second one of its existence. Bumper card. We're going to run through what we expect, what we're hoping to see, starting from the bottom. Obviously kicking off this one, we've done 2 junior fights because we had a bit of space, and these 4 kids, we can't say kids, they are kids really. 17 years old. We've got 3 Angolans and the young Josh Rothman off a emphatic debut. Super excited about these. For those of you that don't know, Rhys, Eric Baptista and Hatani Matthias have been competing in Submission Kings. They stood out from the word go. They were very keen to come back. They want to be involved. They've been asking me, please can we do this, please can we do that, through their Google Translate. It's been interesting, but yeah, super excited about these guys. We've obviously got an Angolan versus Angolan matchup, and then Rhys versus young Josh Rothman. They have faced each other at Submission Kings before, but a good challenge for Josh. I think he lost the last one in, when was it, October or November, whenever we were. Chomping at the bit to come back and get their piece back. What you will notice about these kids, if you haven't seen them, is highly talented jiu-jitsu players. They do things that someone like myself can only dream of doing. They're very fast, their hands scrambles, their submission IQ is very high, one you can be super excited about, and it's going to be a new weight class in the juniors. So keep your eyes open on these kids is what I'm going to say to you, opening up those 2 fights. Have you seen any of them?
So obviously we commentated on the match with Josh, so that'll be the second fight on the fight card, and he did amazingly against Justin Walker, I think it was. Finished with an armbar submission, and totally unexpected, blew the crowd away. Like exceptional performance for a debut on the actual fight night stage. So very impressed with him. You mentioned that he lost against Shalon.
At the
actual competition.
in the tournaments.
Okay.
So it's an interesting one for him. He knows the challenge ahead. This is a kid who's not scared of anything. Like literally, the Justin Walker scenario was late notice. There was a massive discrepancy in weight. Justin Walker seemed unstoppable at the time, and just came in with I think it was like a 37-second armbar, which was out of this world. So
What really stands out for me with the 3 Angolan kids, from what I remember seeing them compete at the last one, was they're highly focused on their skill sets.
Sure.
Highly aggressive. So they were sitting guard, immediately attacking the leg entanglements, attacking submissions, everything. Very focused, which at a young age, we obviously see it with like Cole Butter, who's been groomed his whole life, but like to see it in a local context, it's really awesome to see.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I watched some footage from your submission, the most recent competition on Matthias. He posted a couple of things on Instagram, and his standing was pretty good. He had quite a few ankle picks against a guy from ZR, and then I think I finished that fight with straight foot block. So, like you said, late entries,
These kids are high level, man. super high level. It's funny when because I interacted with them leading up, and I didn't know who they were, and obviously we're trying to communicate. So initially my attention was on them. The second they came on the mat, I was like, okay, let me see what's going on here. And they just stand out. You've got 120 kids, and these few just stand out. It's just how it goes. It was the same with Josh originally. Their skill level always stands out. So I'm excited we got them here. I think it's going to be super interesting to see these 17-year-old kids. I mean, these guys are the future of what happens here. It'll be very interesting.
I'm personally interested in bantamweight. The boys can advise in the direction.
There's the fresh meat coming up.
You don't want any of that smoke, Lazarus. But yeah, that is it. It's nice to have, it's going to be our first junior bantamweight internationals, which is exciting. It's a cool way to kick off the year and kick off that.
Nice to get some of the Angolans coming in now.
Yeah.
We've got
Hopefully some more Angolans. Don't be scared. Come on, guys.
Wait, so are they training locally now permanently?
So from what I understand, Shalon and Hitadi are training with the Brazilian power team, which is in Angola.
Okay.
And then Eric Baptista trains out of Maximilian in Cape Town.
Jason Regardless and
Okay.
Gareth.
Remember.
I can't remember Gareth's last name.
Yeah, so
But Gareth.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Now I've also gone back.
I
Gareth Lampard, that's it.
Yes, Gareth Lampard.
There we go.
Gareth,
There
we're
you
still waiting for you to come to Submission Kings, by the way.
go. You guys brought it back. Good save.
Yeah.
Good
It's
save.
cool to see Gareth in the mix. He's an
He
exciting
was almost
podcast.
there. One of the 8 mans he was supposed to be in.
And then went featherweight.
I quite like this next matchup, the Battle of the Baldies, and I can say that because
For the anime fans out there.
I'm one of them.
Anime fans out there, it's One Punch Man versus One Punch Man.
That's definitely me out. I don't know what you're talking about.
You can relate.
Yeah, I can relate, so I can make ball jokes. But yeah, this is a good matchup. They've obviously also faced each other quite a lot in competition across the varying competitions, ADCC, AJP, Submission Kings. Armand, I think, put on a good display. The last one out, WTA3 or 4 against Joel Preller.
Yeah.
Very exciting matchup, a lot of transitions, a lot of escapes,
Yeah.
and eventually getting the rear naked choke. He looked really good. Justin Thomas, absolute gamer, coming from House of Tinkerbell. I think Armand has beaten him a couple of times. But again, it's a different stage, it's a different rule set, it's a whole different environment. You've got to be on your game. Like I said, Justin Thomas brings it. He's spent a lot of time with guys like Dylan Carrera Miguel. I think they spent a lot of time at House of Tinkerbell together. If you remember the first vlog we did, you would have seen in the garage. There was Justin Thomas training with Dylan. So yeah, definitely an exciting kind of matchup. I think Justin obviously has got an opportunity to get one back over Armand, so he's a lot at stake for him, and it's an exciting matchup.
Look, I know from Armand's perspective, you offered him a few fights, and this was the one he was most excited about, just because he knows Justin's going to bring a fight, and he's not going to play negative. He's aggressive. He does go for the submissions, which is the kind of fight Armand wants. He wants that high action scramble.
Yeah, it's the kind of fight we all want, to be honest. That's what we want to see, and I think that's Armand's game. He sets a high pace and he keeps a high pace, and I think that's where we saw Joel. I don't want to say I don't think Joel faded away, but that constant scramble, transition, escape, you know what I mean, was and Joel had big moments in there, but he just couldn't quite keep Armand.
He had his back hooks in at one point.
Yeah. There were lots of submission attempts by Joel, and then Armand had very good submission escapes.
Yeah.
So, and then ended up getting the submission himself. Is this Justin's debut at a fight night?
Correct.
Okay, so it's his first time.
Yeah, he's been on standby a couple of times. For the featherweight, I think he was on standby. For the lightweight, possibly. So he's been on the cusp, and now he's getting his shot early on. But yeah, super excited. House of Thinkable guys, they don't ask many questions. It's kind of like, cool, what's the date? What's the weight? See you there, So yeah, exciting one.
Are we anticipating a lot of wrestling from Justin because he's House of Tinkerbell?
No. Well, I mean, what do we know? What do we know?
I don't know. Look, I can tell you, obviously I'm a little biased in this context. Armand's, he's been firing. He did AJP
He did
2 weeks ago. He
exceptionally
double
well.
golded in gi and no gi, which is impressive, very impressive.
I felt like I just saw a highlight reel of smother taps.
Very possible.
Guys, what's going on here?
Yeah, well.
The flashbacks are real.
I'm a big fan of this mother tap.
I love
I'm a
that
big
you
fan.
were just smiling.
I'm a big fan.
Can we anticipate some smother taps and
Well,
maybe top pressure?
if Armand wants to leave with his head held high.
Okay, there we go. For the audience.
No, the smothers are a lot of fun.
For one person.
Yeah. For some,
Only one person is having fun in that exchange.
Correct. Well, you put yourself there. It's up to you that you've got to get out of there. The middleweight matchup, I felt quite unfair for these two. Quite low down on the fight card. No disrespect, it's just the way things have fallen. This is a great matchup. Jason Durant, we obviously know, he's been here a few times, and the emerging Keanu Lundy. I had a deal with him and his brother Carl, who was in the last quintet. I said we was in the quintet, the next one will get super fight. This was the opponent we had in mind between the two of them. I think they match up quite nicely. Jason also looks to be back into winning ways. I think he also competed at AJP. Very high level guy. Also, like it's fun to watch Jason because you're visibly seeing him progress at each event, which is quite cool. I mean, he's young, he's athletic, he's like got, in my head, a great build for jiu-jitsu, long limbs. You know, he doesn't get tired. He had a rough go.
With
yeah, at the 8-man, it was like, geez, a bit of a rough
but he did well. He moved really well.
Look, he's a gamer. He knows how to compete.
100%.
He knows how to bring the fight.
And he was, the way he got into the 8-man was by winning that division at Submission Kings. He went through Alan Cliff. He went through a few big names, and it was like, that day was his day, you know what I mean? Like, he was just firing on all cylinders. It was I think it was his 21st birthday, like the next day or something. He had flown in. He still had to medal him by himself so he could get back on the plane to get home for his birthday. But it was just his day that day, and he came and he just wrecked dudes. Like, wrecked is a bit much, but he won well. He was just, every time he was on the mat, there was action happening, you know what I mean? Keanu, who's obviously coming from Cornerstone. If you don't know Cornerstone, that's run by Luke Griffith's dad, and it's the whole family's involved, and he's a product of that gym. Also a very high level guy, gritty, very hard to submit. He's also been around with us Submission Kings a long time, so I'm excited to see that. I think it's going to be some high level stuff early on the card.
I'm excited. Keanu always makes a fun fight.
Yeah, he does. He makes for a very fun fight, so keep your eyes on that. One of a few middleweight matchups. Moving on to your main man there, guy Lazarus, Wade Crispe and Sakile Mboto. Wade messaged me, please dude, he wants to get back on the card. So we looked at some options. I mean, both of these guys have had experience in an 8-man. Sakile fought Raymond. Yeah, and the first round was a good matchup. I think they went to extra time.
Yeah, they went to extra time.
And Wade was against Kevin.
Yeah, we all remember, your MacBook remembers that matchup.
Oh, I was going to say.
Kevin
wrestled.
Kevin had a very similar thing happen at the recent AJP, and I was like, damn it, you're just bringing back PTSD.
Yeah, please stop breaking people's laptops. Yeah, which, when we drew that fight, I was very excited. You know, Wade comes from an MMA background. He's obviously progressing a lot now. He's like I said to him once, the team's kind of fallen in his lap with Madford. You know, he was kind of in between where he needed to be, and then Don arrived and Madford kicked off, and he's got guys like BK with him and stuff. So it's going to be nice to see where he is now. Sakile is also one of those guys super difficult to submit.
Very wide.
Yeah. He's very wide. He's crafty. He's not going to be hard or easy to submit. You're going to struggle. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of pace maybe will benefit Wade in a way that he can show a little bit more, whereas Kevin will match you pace for pace. You know what I mean? Like that's, and we've seen Kevin Koch is, in my mind, at 66 kilos, one of the best guys we've got, who can also make 61, he says. So, you know, like, there's no shame in losing to a guy like Kevin Koch. I think he's also just progressing a lot. So, a good matchup for both of these guys to kind of stake their claim. I mean, we do know featherweight is a little bit high up for Wade, he can come down. But yeah, exciting matchup, two very different styles, which should be interesting. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited to see both of these guys back in a completely different stylistic matchup.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wade, please don't break my laptop.
Yeah. Stay away from the laptops, please, Wade.
Is it Kev? Like, who's the problem?
Yeah,
Kevin. We're about to find out.
Either way, I'm moving the desk
When Wade's on, no laptops inside.
This is the first of two combat jiu-jitsu matchups.
Yes.
I don't know which one I'm more excited for, if I'm honest. This one's kind of fallen into our laps. It was obviously initially meant to be Cedric Doyle versus Devin Cunha. This is a division we're trying to work towards a title. Both combat matches, in fact, or both divisions we're trying to work towards the first combat title. So yeah, Andrew Carruth, if you don't know Andrew Carruth he's a brown belt in Durban. He's been training for a millennium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both guys EFC record.
No. So Andrew's as an amateur, he's been to IMF I think twice, maybe 3 times.
Okay.
He's medaled there. I'm pretty sure he's medaled in IMF.
So MMA background, no EFC.
Yeah.
He's Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. He's been around. I've heard his name.
Yeah, he's been around
Since Bunmi was like a blue belt.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's been around
Back at the
long.
Hanami Challenge days.
So this is going to be interesting because Devin obviously being a blue belt himself, and then we've got a matchup against a brown belt. So maybe Andrew's got a little bit more on the jiu-jitsu side, but then Devin brings the violence and maybe more experience on the MMA side.
So Andrew has been in MMA. He's been fighting MMA for a long time as well, and he's actually also currently getting ready for his pro debut, which is supposed to be in April.
Okay.
So both guys, the cool thing for both these guys, and I think Andrew's approach, I'm guessing here, would be it's a nice way to kind of, I mean, it can obviously not ideal, but it's not 100% certain, but it's a nice way to get under the bright lights,
get used to the environment.
Get used to the environment. So I think it's a great tool for him. I'm not sure where Devin is in terms of fighting and where he's planning on going, but a nice way for MMA guys to get that rep of competition on a big stage, So I think for Andrew, it's a massive tool. I think he's going to be crafty. He's got a lot of experience. Devin, we always tend to lean on his wrestling capabilities. How much wrestling can he execute? I did see he was at Crown when we were filming. He was definitely in the combat mode, trying to find top positions and good positions to land and stuff. And then Andrew will be doing the same. Andrew's been getting ready for his pro debut for I don't even know how long, So this one is definitely, I feel like it's maybe slipped under the radar, and I think this combat jiu-jitsu matchup is going to be very exciting. Yeah, it's going to be Cedric and Devin, great matchup, because a guy like Cedric's always going to bring it, and they're going to match fire with fire. But I think people don't really know enough of Andrew to understand just how good he is and how tough a matchup this is for both of these guys.
For me, that's the problem. I've heard the name Andrew Carruth for years. I've actually never had the privilege to actually see him compete.
Yeah, 100%.
Just through lack of timing or those kind of situations. But he's been around. He's got the knowledge and experience. He's got an experience there first in his corner.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity to showcase that.
100%.
And I think this is where Devin's comfortable and where he thrives. Obviously, his luck of the draw at the last Submission Kings, he got the black belt fully. Yeah.
And he loves a fist fight.
Exactly.
In this case, a slap fight, but
super interesting.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes on this one.
Yeah.
Look at me now.
Yeah. All I can say is Devin will choose violence.
This one gets Guy excited. This is kicking off the bantamweight division. So you'll know this division competitively here, like AJP, ADCC, Submission Kings, whatever else. It's a same group of guys, and it seems to be like no one's dominating. Like you have your wins, then Edson has his wins. How this came about was Melo won this division, Submission Kings, and Edson and his team came straight to me. They're like, please set this up. And I was like, cool, we just want to see where Guy is, we want to figure this all out. And then Guy decided he's going to go and get fat in Australia. So
December games, dude.
So this was the obvious matchup. So Melo, fresh off a win over Edson. I don't know if you've been seeing on social media, every week he's reminding everyone about his win. It was a good matchup, and Edson was on fire that day. Like he was really firing. But that's this game. Like you can be firing, and you get to the point where you maybe you're a bit complacent, you make a little mistake, and that's what happens, So this is Melo, who's obviously on the first WTA got the 24-hour call up and trying to make himself a nuisance against Rhys, coming back, just fresh off a win over Edson, who's been flying high, and I feel like in some ways Creons want to showcase their gym through Edson, watch the progression,
Yeah, his growth in recent, or say the last year, has been incredible.
Yeah,
sure. Really,
he was always this big, flashy, jumping triangle, and it seems like they figured out a way to leave him with that creativity, but get a little bit more technical at the same time. So it's interesting to see. And
But
to
he
Melo,
still loves that stuff.
you know, he does, but like they found a way to hone it. You know what I mean? It was a little bit wild. Like a year ago, it was a lot wilder
Yeah,
than
so
what
it's
it
not,
is
it's
now.
not now. It's not just a flash move.
Sure.
There's
Yes.
a sequence of things that are setting things up. There's,
Yes.
there's more of a tactic behind it.
Sure.
Yeah, there's actually a follow
There's,
through.
there's continuity, exactly. There's continuity. He's a hell of a lot more physical than what he was.
Yeah.
A lot more engaging than what he was.
Yeah.
He's been seeing the same pharmacist as you, Dylan Miguel. It's just a joke, by the way. And Tumelo is one of those guys who's he plays a very like safe kind of game in a way. He's very hard to find an opening to submit him is very, very, very difficult, and that's his game. Like he'll slow it down to his pace and make himself very, very hard to submit. Steph, your moment has arrived. You're a good friend. This one I contemplated for long, and I actually chatted to both of these guys post training, like what are we going to do, where are you going to be, weight class, and then decided we have to see this again. This was obviously fight of the night, WTA3.
Yes.
It was really exciting. I liked the matchup then. I like it even more now.
Same.
I think Nathan, who's been on more of a tear? I don't really know. It seemed like Nathan took the loss, took it in his stride, and he was like, he made a mistake realistically. Abdel obviously gave himself the opportunity and capitalized, but I feel like Nathan went back and he's like, I'm going back to competition and I'm going to wreck stuff, and that's kind of what he's been doing. Abdel as well. They've been active, they've been competing, they've been growing, they've been learning.
There was an opportunity for the two of them to meet in the finals of AJP, but just how the bracket worked out, they never made it there. That would have been interesting to see as well, but this is a chance for redemption for Nate. And now he knows a little bit more about Abdul's game, so I think there's going to be maybe a change in strategy from both, but it'll be interesting to see.
I will say, like, one massive credit I can always give to Nathan is the ability to make in-game changes throughout the match. He sees what's working and not working, and he's able to adapt as that fight goes really well. Like, it's very impressive.
Look, know thy enemy. Do you guys know the amount of leg locks I have been defending from my opponent? I don't even want to roll him because I'm just like...
I mean, on that note, like, Abdul's, you know, kind of a specialist. We call it a specialist, but that's his focus.
He's not shy. His approach is very leg heavy. You know what I mean? And that's it. So and I think Nathan in that fight was doing very well. A guy like Abdul is gonna continue to feed that game. You know what I mean? And that's how he creates an opportunity. I think Nathan has his strengths. One thing that I have seen different from now to then is Abdul seems to be physically getting a lot stronger. You know what I mean?
I can confirm that.
He physically seems to be getting a lot stronger.
With his coach Calvin, they have been adding in quite a bit of strength training. He's understood actually from that first winner, Submission Kings in Joburg, where he had like 12 matches or something like that. He realized he can't get away with just being better. He has to actually have some physical games.
And look, so realistically, I think Abdul going forward will stay at 77. I think he's going to become a big, strong 77. I think Nathan realistically will go back down to 70. That's the way I see it. It depends on how they all plan out. But I think in terms of a rematch, this is as good as it gets for the landscape for us. I think I think you're going to see a lot of the same. It's going to be physical. It's going to be fast. It's going to be leg entanglements. It's going to be chaos, and that's exciting to me. And I think both of these guys, like, it's a kind of matchup. It doesn't really matter what happens. The stock will rise. You know what I mean? I think that's what it's all about.
I mean, if Abdul either wins, but more specifically Abdul, because he's already got that one on Nathan. I mean, how far up the ladder towards a potential title shot against?
Okay, that's a good question. So this is why, one of the main reasons why we chucked this fight in. In essence, that's the peak of the prelims, if you want to look at it like that. Obviously, we've got Desi Faithful versus Dylan Carrera-Miguel as a featured bout, and then we've got the co-main Rhys and Christian Camp, obviously all vying for that title shot with Jordan. So the way we structure it is Christian Camp, Rhys the winner will get the title shot. Next in line will be the winner between the Night King Desley and Dylan, and then maybe we match up the winner from there with like the loser of Dylan and Desley and kind of see where they are. So start to build a picture for that weight division, who's all next in line. And that's generally going to be the theme for the year. Not to say that we are going to bring 8-mans back, and we've got a few other plans that we're playing with, but that's generally the sequence of things. We've got champions now, we can build around them. The next event will be, you guys will see on night who's going to be involved, but there will be another title fight, probably a gi title fight, and probably a light heavyweight title fight. So there'll be the three, and possibly a combat title, depending on how this picture all unfolds. So it'll be the O2 June card will be chaos if it all works out the way we want it to. And then in that, obviously, we'll start to. So this is the nice thing. If Nathan goes back down to 70, the title on the line for the next one will be a 70-kilo title, the lightweight, which is kind of vacant now because Rhys has decided he's going up to 77. That's where he's going to stay. So we can start to build the next title picture from that. That's going to be the theme. So a lot to play for both of these guys. But like I say, I don't think it matters too much on the result. I think the stock will stay quite high.
I'm too biased.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't mind. It's okay. We all have our teams. Cool. So that's kind of like what we would consider the prelims. I don't want to really call them prelims. I don't think it's just, but that's how it goes. And then split in half with the knife, the ladies' quintet. Again, the quintet has a bit of structure around it. We're looking at Team Bumney versus Team Jess Hill. We're hoping that Bumney and Jess Hill will meet, because these are obviously the standouts for the ladies lightweight title fight. We're hoping, and the big thing with the quintet is that we hope to see some stars stand out. That's really what we want to see, and then start to see, okay, this person did really well, where can we match them up? It's a nice way to get a blanket look at, we've got 10 ladies competing. It's a nice look for us to see where they go from here, which is, I mean, it's great entertainment, but it's also cool for us to get a good look. Obviously, Jess Hill and Bumney, like we said, hopefully will be standing out, and hopefully we'll get a glimpse of the two of them together and how that will pan out in a title fight going forward. So we can run through the teams. We've got Jess Hill, Monique van Staden, the champion, Sasha Robinson, Bridie Allen, and Razani Honeyball. It seems like Jess has kind of like structured it from like white belt to brown belt in a way, but a very, very strong team. And when we chose the captains, I knew that that team was going to be very strong. So our job was to find a matching strong team. We had Darina Gordon from Germany. Unfortunately, she blew her knee a few weeks ago, which would have been very cool, because she also would have been, if she was around a lot, she could have been considered for that title picture, but unfortunately not the way things have panned out. Speedy recovery to her, but Bumney, obviously there, that's the older one. We've got Nicole van Wyk, Amber Smith, Lizanne Esterhazen, and Michaela van Staden from Valhalla MMA, or Gracie Bar Alberton. So yeah, and a very strong team that's in a quintet setting. It's going to be very hard. You've got 6 minutes, you've got to get that person out of there. Obviously those ladies looking across at Mars and Sasha, they know they've got a hard task in front of them. And how they structure the teams is going to be very interesting. But yeah, I think a lot's going to rest at the top. I'm hoping, in my perfect mind, we can see 4 matchups that all get stalled out, and then Bumney versus Jess.
I would love
Come
that
on, guys.
as well.
I know that'd be great. I'm sure Burnley is also like chomping at the hill to get one back at one year.
True.
That was some of the most epic moments.
Sure.
But
Sure.
speaking about quintets and standout moments for ladies, that was a really standout moment for Mon as well. I mean, that whole sequence really shone a light on her too. And if other ladies from the quintets can have those shining moments against like Jess or Bumney or whatever, that would be great for them going forward.
100%. And that's really what we're hoping for in the quintet, is to have one of those moments where someone stands out. Razani Honeyball, Lizanne Esterhazen, youngsters. Lizanne has been also tearing, hello Fabian, been tearing things up. She's been doing really, really well in the comp scene. So we want to see what she can do. She's a youngster, she's like very young in jiu-jitsu, so exciting. And that's exactly it. We're hoping for one of these massive standout moments that we can be like, cool, you're up next, and let's see what you can do.
And Monique on the one side, Nicole van Wyk on the other. I'm sure Nicole's also, depending how the quintet pans out, would really like that redeeming moments or?
Nicole had like an incredible quintet match.
Yeah.
Oh, she did.
It was Cara, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like everyone was like, Nicole doesn't stand a chance. And she
Completely
just like
outsized,
she just
yeah.
like wrestled her way through that. And
Yeah.
no, didn't get the finish, but like it was a very impressive.
I'm a
performance.
massive fan of Nicole from Bay.
The grit,
Yeah.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like she will chop, like she'll just bite down on the mouthpiece and she'll go.
Yeah.
And towards the end there, she was taking Cara down, like really giving her a run
Yeah,
for her
she's
money.
an absolute savage, man.
Yeah.
And again, also trying to get ready for an MMA debut. Again, a nice bit of competition reps for her.
Yeah.
I love having Nicole from Bay because automatically when the team looks across, they're like, okay, we're going to have to figure out how we deal with Nicole. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's what she brings. She brings that
Yes.
factor. We're going to have to figure out how we deal with her because it's not going to be clear cut. You know what I mean? Like, I think Mars has figured out a couple of things with the time they've competed, but if someone else comes across her, they've got hard work on their hands. Yeah, it's a puzzle. So automatically, it's first put me Nicole van Wyk, first calls. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for this. I'm hoping we do get to see Jessiel and Bumni battle it out. Hopefully, for whichever one wins the quintet would be awesome. If you ladies could structure it like that, that'd be
Yes,
great.
thank you. Please and thank you.
But yeah, it's nice to have the ladies quintet come back. It was a massive success the first time out. Obviously, the moments in there created this whole spectacle. I was saying that there was a lady who commented on Facebook. She was like, she'd love to see a no time limit match between Monique and Bumni. Kind of a few weight divisions apart, but I hear it would be exciting. Maybe one day.
You can have an
Absolute division. Listen, that's hey, just hang on. You never know. You never know.
You got that new Angola and he's doing crazy things.
You never
Chuck him in
know.
there.
You never know. This is another rematch, if you will. These guys obviously faced each other in the quintet. Fritz beat old young Nathan eventually in the quintet, and then had to deal with.
That was a hard match. Like
Yeah.
Nathan really took it
I
to
was
Fritz.
super, and I remember we were laughing because I was like, "Oh, Nate's going straight for the wrestling." I'm like, "Oh, it's
Against-
bold, yeah, it's bold."
But you know what? He looked up to his corner,
Yeah.
and then straight on the neck.
It happens. It
It
happens. Old Fritzy was very keen on this rematch. I thought it was massively exciting. For those of you who don't know Lance here, he can literally probably bench press all of us and this table and probably something else. Hey, Lancy. Very physical guy. He's also been doing jiu-jitsu. I remember arriving at Gracie Bar Ilova. I think he was already a brown belt, which was 2016, and still a brown belt. But he's one of those guys who's been around in jiu-jitsu for its entire existence in the country. Obviously competed a lot and not competed a lot. Chose CrossFit over jiu-jitsu. I mean, what are we going to do? But exciting matchup. Two very strong guys. I felt like both guys had really good moments. It seemed like I think Fritz was caught off guard by the strength initially, and then started to settle into his game a little bit. Both guys would have had a good bit of experience with each other, gone back to the drawing boards, and they've come up with new plans. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Where's Lance training out of?
Creon.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's probably an early morning marauder, sneaks in there. Yeah, but he's been training with them for quite a while now. Hello, Shad Hanako. How you sir? So yeah, very exciting matchup. Fritz obviously been very active in competition. Also did a double gold at AJP.
Yeah.
Gia Nogi.
He had a phenomenal day. He scored something like 100 odd points across his matches.
Wow. So coming off a high at AJP, also feeling confident.
Yeah, so I'm sure his confidence is like very high. He definitely feels like he had a really good match against Lance the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he did something he didn't think he was going to be able to do, and then so
The X factor with a guy like Lance is his physical training regime is very structured. He seems very disciplined. He's also a guy who would have gone back and said, okay, I can beat this guy. I know what I need to do, and he would have been very disciplined in the approach on coming up with a new strategy on how to beat him. And I think Fritz would have been exactly the same. He would have known this is what he did good, this is what he did bad, and gone back and structured a game plan. So I think with the time off and having a little bit of experience against each other, it's going to make for a very interesting approach. I'm super excited to see how the engagement starts, who makes the first move. you know, with big guys, strong guys like this, sitting down is a risk. You're inviting that person on top. You make a mistake. Do you wrestle? Do you get on top? What is your preference here? Those are the small things I'm super excited to see. Who implements what? You know what I mean? Like I've obviously trained with Fritz. He's not a guy you really want on top of you. You know what I mean? Like it's. I mean, there's a weight discrepancy between me and him. It's very uncomfortable. His top game is very good. I know Lance's is also very good. So like, how do you approach those? Do you go like give up a lot of energy to get a takedown, or like what do you do? That's where I think the fight will be won and lost for me, and I think that's going to be super exciting.
Nobody wants to concede bottom on either.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to.
You don't want either of these dudes on top of you. That's my personal feeling on it. So yeah, super interesting. Obviously, at Creonge, the guys have been. I think everyone's been very set on competition, so it's been structured, and I think it's going to be interesting to see both these guys with a lot of time to work, consider, and prepare. I think it's going to be good. Keep your eyes on that one. Possible fight of the night there, along with that previous fight of the night. A very angry and old Rob.
What did you do to your boy?
Yeah. I promise you guys, I had a good laugh at this. This Warren messaged me, he's like, your fault is butchering people. I'm like, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But yeah, so Rourke's obviously been overseas now, since competed twice overseas, did pretty well in Amsterdam, struggled a bit to the Euros, but he's been getting those reps in. Paul Francois also been competing quite a lot. I've been watching him quite closely. This is like, I can't say he doesn't get the credit, he probably doesn't get the credit, but he's really underrated in some degrees. I think like in the divisions we kind of look past him. Super high IQ, obviously been doing jiu-jitsu a really long. He's a purple belt now, I think.
Purple belt now.
Yeah, must be on the brink of the
been
ground.
Been a purple belt as long as I've known him.
Yeah.
I remember old SABJJF events.
Yeah,
running as a purple.
Yeah, exactly. Been like a long time purple belt. Also like super hard to submit. I watched the dude struggle with him at the last tournament. Like no one really had an answer, and he was just those little clicks where he wasn't quite converting. And the SPG guys have been really sticking up their hands. They're gamers, and I think it's going to be a tough outing for young Rourke. He's going to have his wits about him on how he approaches this. It's not going to be a very clear-cut way to beat Paul. He's another guy. He's just so gritty. His ability to get out of bad positions was really good, and has some crazy submissions. The SPG guys, in my mind, I tend to like think of more traditional kind of jiu-jitsu, and I think that's completely wrong. Their game has evolved way beyond like traditional type of jiu-jitsu. I think it's also a very nice matchup.
I think Rourke's also got something to prove, considering his last performances.
Sure.
Sub Kings.
Yeah.
He's got a little game his bonnet to stamp his name in that featherweight or even bantamweight divisions.
Sure.
Put his name into the title pictures.
He has had some shining moments on the mat against Brett as well.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
was a great moment.
Yeah, exactly. But
and then took the risk against a judoka in a gi. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens. That's the game we play. You know, like he big ups to him to take that kind of a matchup. You know, it's a very tough matchup against Biko and a gi. You know what I mean? But
shout out to Biko. I think he just got his brown belt.
Yes, happy days,
well done,
Biko. And he's like a triple black belt in judo.
Damn.
Yeah, he's a Dan in judo.
well, at least we're back to no gi for all. So
Yeah, Rourke's, at the moment at least he's a lot more no-gi focused.
Yeah.
He's definitely a submission hunter.
Yeah.
So these
Ask
two-
my bicep. He loves being wrist locked as well. Okay, this is combat jiu-jitsu matchup number 2. The middleweights, again, like I said, this is a division we're looking at in terms of a title fight. Obviously, there's still guys like Wade Henderson, a few other guys middleweight that we're looking at. Dallas, I think he said that this is more his kind of a game. He's been in 2 quintets. I think the first one he got submitted by Cam, second one they stalled out. But I definitely, ground and pound was Dallas's thing as an MMA fighter. That's how he became an UFC champion. Francois, also very MMA mindset, very good grappler. His approach in MMA was definitely trying to get it to the ground. That's where he felt most comfortable. So yeah, very interesting matchup. I think Kandari is going to fly under the radar a little bit on this one. And again, he's also getting ready for an MMA fight. A nice bit of repetition to get on the lights against an absolute MMA legend in Dallas Jacoby.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have to deal with that. He definitely, Kandari would have, as a youngster coming up, would have watched and looked at a guy like Dallas. You know, now you got to be across from him and you got to deal with those things.
Imagine the confidence boost if he gets that win.
100%. So a very good matchup. I think both guys will quite obviously be trying to get it into a top position, the top half, and trying to finish it from there. But I'm excited to see Dallas in that combat jiu-jitsu position. This is something he's been wanting to do for a while, and I'm excited to see how Francois deals with that kind of stuff, having to deal with a guy like Dallas, but also like a really, really high-level grappler. Like his jiu-jitsu is really, really good.
I mean, sure, that guy has a very storied past with professional MMA. He started at featherweight.
Yeah.
Now he's up into middleweight. So that's
He fought at light heavyweight.
Fought at light heavyweight. Oh yeah, he fought. What did he fight Luke Gunther? No, that was
No. He fought. He fought Kurakani Klongwe, I think, at light heavyweight.
Yeah,
pretty sure, something like that. Yeah.
He's, so he's fought across 4 or 5 different weight divisions. So he really is also a guy who just take a fight.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be there.
100%.
So I mean, no bigger opportunity than fighting a former, well, a current legend, but a former champion.
Yeah. And like you say, get a win there, and you go into your fight in April or May, whatever it is, beaming high. Beaming high. And again, we're excited to see a bit of high-level combat jiu-jitsu, which is.
I want to see the slaps.
It's always fun when like everyone forgets and the crowd's like, slap him.
They're like, oh yes, we're in a combat jiu-jitsu match.
So unfortunately, this ski match went with Jamie's knee.
Oh, is this not happening anymore?
No.
Ripped Jamie's ACL, MCL.
Yeah, every CL available in the knee of Jamie's is unfortunately injured.
Pity, I was actually really.
We've also got that on video if anyone wants to see it.
I think you should put it up.
Yeah, I think we
There's
should.
video footage of the knee going.
So the irony is, Jamie was in Cape Town training with Desley while we were filming the vlog, and his knee went in that roll. So we've got that on camera, which is pretty hilarious.
Put it up.
Yeah, which is pretty hilarious.
So I was actually really excited to see what Rowan can do in the gi. He
Yeah.
had a great performance
Yeah.
at the last quintet.
Sure. And black belt gi, we're down to see it, but we've got something for you, O2 June. Don't you worry. And Jamie obviously looking to make a good run at the middleweight title. That's his goal right now. His knee disagreed with him on this one, but we'll get him back very soon. Heal up, Jamie. Okay, and then into the juicy top 3, the featured bout, Desley Faithful versus Dylan Kerr Miguel. Man, I puzzled with how to put these guys all together and who belongs where and so on and so on. I'm a massive fan of Desley Faithful. I love his style. I feel like he could give a seminar just on how to apply pressure. I don't know if you guys remember when he fought Ching, and Ching had this like forehead bruise. It was
the head pressure,
the horns,
head pressure and the passing. Yeah.
That was one of the craziest things I think I've ever seen. I was like, my word, that guy is bruised on his head from pressure.
And he used it again in the next matchup. I can't remember who that was.
Yeah, then he got 1 or 2 smother taps. He really excelled.
Well, the interesting in the quintet, like we called it as a smother tap, but like I don't know if it was really a smother. It was just a tap from pressure. Like it was so weird. But that's literally what he does, and I don't think it's any secret. I think that's his.
No, that's been his game since blue belt.
Yeah,
it's been his core, his core zone.
It's and he is he's a hell of a nice guy, but when it's on the mat, he is a scary dude. And I think Dylan said it the best. He's like, you offer Desi to 10 dudes, 9 out of 10 are going to say no thank you. You know what I mean? And that's the reality. I think that's.
And he's the 1 out of 10.
Yeah, I think he was also trying to fluff himself up a little bit.
To confirm, Dylan's been on every single card.
Correct.
And he's also won. Has he won all of?
He lost to Jordan in the semis.
Oh right.
Yes.
Recently done very well. Had a great gi matchup.
Against Tembo,
in the last one.
Well, that's left after this one is combat. Yeah, so I mean, he's always keen to roll. And one thing I've noticed after filming and speaking and chatting to people all over, a lot of people's attention now is trying to go to ADCC and compete internationally to the trials and stuff. So everybody's kind of trying to jump at these opportunities to get high-level reps under their belt, you know, because when you go over to Poland towards the end of the year, it's
You
tough.
got
It's a different
Yeah,
setting.
incredibly hard fights at a
Exactly.
very good.
Yeah. So this is the cool thing. Like it's nice for us that we're getting that kind of mentality, but it's also nice for us to provide that kind of try and recreate the atmosphere as much as possible to deal with the nerves and that kind of stuff. And the more the guys are doing this, I think the better it's going to get for them. Stylistically, crazy matchup. Dylan is, I mean, I rolled with Dylan in December. It was horrible for me. He's physically getting very, very strong. He has the thickest forearms on earth. I don't know how it works, but anyway, he's becoming a lot more well-rounded. And also a guy we're watching progress all the time, and living that jiu-jitsu life. He's in the gym all day, teaching, training.
He's got good mentors, Johan and Chris as well, so got very good teammates around him.
So, I mean, in terms of, I don't think you can get a better matchup, to be honest. Like, I think this is the one for me that I'm unbiasedly most excited for, to see how this pans out. You have an idea in your head of what it might look like, but I think this is it for me. Like, this is such a good matchup.
It's a lot of fun, and then potentially win
100%.
title fights.
Yeah, you win here, you're knocking at that door. You know what I mean? And who wouldn't love to see, no offense to anybody, but Dylan versus Jordan one more time.
Yeah.
Dylan versus Jordan 27.
Yes.
Alrighty, then this we tried to put on before. Rhys versus Chris. Rhys obviously saying he wanted to come back up to 77. I think Chris has been plying his trade at middleweight, which realistically is probably upper division for him. These guys are so similar in many ways in the way they approach submission hunters, speed, pace, scramble, all of it, you know what I mean? And I think from what I've seen and heard from both of them, both very excited at that opportunity to be engaged.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing. They're very excited about both guys really engaging, both guys really going for it. And I think we're all going to benefit from that. That's the way I see it.
That's the goal, right? To
Yeah.
entertain the crowds.
And the crowds, and also win.
For them, for us.
Yes.
We'll be,
So I think again, like stylistically, this is as good as it gets. Rhys, I watched Rhys lose to Jordan, and there was like, I wish we had filmed it, because he was like devastated in a way, like just sitting here. I think he was so confident in his head that this was going to be his time. Obviously came back, won the 70 kilo title, and then this is the matchup. And these two guys somehow have never faced each other before, which is insane. Like, I don't know how that's happened. But
Chris was out of the country for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think that definitely helped.
Sure.
Never been at the same belt level before until now.
Yeah. So two guys just like this parallel journey, all to meet for the number one contender. So yeah, I'm jacked up for this one. I think we would have been through an emotional roller coaster by the time this fight arrives.
Yeah, I don't know how much the audience is going to have left at this point.
Yeah, so it's going to be a super exciting matchup. And again, winner gets a shot at the title, an opportunity for Rhys to go double champ there if he can, and an opportunity for Chris to get one at his good mate. I don't know if they're good mates, but they know each other very well. On the floor. Also, again, very good potential for Final Night. Steph, you ready to go on this one?
Yeah, very excited. I mean, obviously, like, fan of the ladies always. And the last one was such a hit. I mean, that flyweight title fight, like lots of excitement around that. So very excited that there's going to be another belt for the ladies. Just really grows the divisions in that sense as well. Hannah's been overseas for a little bit. Lilani did an exceptionally amazing fight against Cara. Obviously lost at overtime.
Yeah.
But they both got rear naked chokes. It was just a matter of time, right?
Yeah.
She just submitted a little bit later than Cara did. So
like a small technical detail. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
She had an incredible first half of that match against Cara. She really took it to her. They only had a great run at Sub Kings.
Yeah, she won gold.
Yeah.
That was a good return for her from coming back from that hectic injury she had way back when.
Yeah, her knee was completely jacked. And I was telling her the story when we were filming, and I think I've told a few people, like, I remember being a white belt in SAB JJF comps, wherever they were, like bottom end of Springs or wherever they used to be. And every time the ladies divisions were done, like, we would be starting and there would be this very cross-faced lady on the podium at the top. she just like her opponents, half of them couldn't make it to the podium because they were like dead. And that was Leilani, and she was at white belt, she was just an absolute wrecking machine. And obviously had the injury. I think it was against Peyton, blew her knee, came back, had the run at Sub Kings, then fought Cara. And I think, and what I said to her, a lot of the talk after the match with her and Cara was just how well she did. You know what I mean? Which
so
was
good.
Also very gritty, very tough, very hard to put away. Brings a pace. Yeah, I think they're calling it Heidelberg strong. I don't know if she's going to get the same label as my man Stefan, but let's see if she can earn it. And then obviously, again, Hannah, who's, I mean, on the competition scene here, was doing a lot.
Yeah.
Went overseas, and now we get to see we can say Hannibal 2.0, I guess, to see what she's learned and what she's kept and what she brings.
6 months in Austin, Texas.
It does for you.
You can do. I mean,
Yeah.
while she's there, she did well at Pan Am. She came second or third. She didn't do Worlds. No.
She did the ADCC trials.
She did the ACE.
No, it was the Open, ACC Open.
That was like 2 weeks after, or a week after she arrived. She won 1 or 2 matches.
But good competition experience.
Great, yeah. I mean, she was fighting against black belts.
Wow.
She's super strong. We know that.
Yes.
Her wrestling's obviously really good at the moment.
Yeah.
And she's always giggling and laughing.
Yeah.
It's quite disconcerting when you're running, but
yeah. And listen, I think Hannah's now 20, 21 years old. In terms of jiu-jitsu, the world's her oyster. You know, I mean, she's only really starting to like find her feet now. Just got a blue belt. She shows a lot of promise. I think it's going to be a clash of two completely different styles, between Hannah being somewhat maybe more technical orientated versus Leilani, who's still going to be technical but very aggressive, very strong, very physical. That was the thoughts in the matchup between Leilani and Cara. These are two very physical orientated ladies. Let's see how they match up. Now it's something completely different. The matchups are completely different. Exciting matchup. Obviously the title's on the line, which brings a little bit of extra added nerves, and gets everything up and going a little bit more. Hannah, who's generally, forgive me for this one, generally a little bit more nervous. I think in general, but she's. I always laugh. I think there was a photo of her from Durban where she's like waiting to go on, but she's got her hoodie on, but she has like this funny look on her face, like this mix of like being focused and completely nervous at the same time. That's how she is. I think Leilani's quite a little bit more adapted at taking that nerves in her stride somewhat, or maybe she just doesn't show it. You know what I mean? She seems to be very cool, calm and collected. Nothing really phases her. I think when they get up there and it's the big focus on the title, and you're breaking ground for ladies jiu-jitsu going forward, there is this kind of like external background pressure that's going to come up. It's been interesting to see how they deal with it. It's 15 minutes.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, 15 minutes standard title matchup. A lot of time to work, so it'll be very interesting.
cool. I'm excited.
Whew.
Okay, ladies and gents, that is. Yes,
Any big news you can tell us, or do we have to wait for the big day?
You'll have to wait for the big day. It's gonna be like the Brock Lesnar release. Yeah, so yeah, you'll see. We'll get in there. You've got a lot to deal with. You don't need more. We'll get there.
Let's wrap our heads around this
The
fight
chaos.
card.
So 14 super fights, a title fight, number one contender, ladies all-star quintet. There's a lot happening. New venue, 133 on First. Tickets are still available at Ticket Pros. Very cool venue. It's going to be a way different viewer experience, a lot more comfortable, a lot less warehousey. There is aircon and carpets even. We're really stepping it up.
Parking?
There's a lot of parking on site. A lot of different things to look forward to. We've got a massive big screen. We're going to set up things differently. It's going to look really, really, really cool. So make sure you get your tickets. Otherwise, we will be on YouTube, and our new partners, Vision View TV, will also be streaming. Those details will be out soon. Make sure you check it out. You don't want to miss this one. First one back for 2023. We're really going to punch this year, or slap this year, or submit this year, whichever way you want to look at it. See you soon. WTA5. Thanks for joining us. Bye bye.